From the Bob Mills Weather Center, meteorologist Andrew Adams.
Now go ahead and pencil in tomorrow as a really nice day to go out. You can go out today as well, but notice in the morning we've got a few showers on Next Gen Live Doppler radar, some rain by Woodward, and then passing over now I-35 through Mulhall, some of this light rain through Crescent, leaving Kingfisher, so things are drying out in Kingfisher right now. Things are about to get a little more damp in El Reno. Most of this rain is hardly amounting to much. We're talking like 1/100 of an inch of rain. So this will wet your windshields a little bit and the grass some, but it's not going to do much, and it certainly is not going to help our drought. So this morning activity, it moves off to the east, and behind that, we're going to have a few more showers that will generate throughout the afternoon in central, western, and north central Oklahoma, and then the front moves through as we go into the evening. Notice 10 o'clock OU game at 7 today. We can have a couple showers basically from front to back in Norman, but only a couple isolated. This isn't going to completely wash out the game by any means, and then we're clearing out overnight. Some sunshine on the way. This is a view from our El Reno camera on our Pike Pass Skycam network. You can see the thick cloud deck and a couple of these very light rain shafts. They're kind of hard to make out because it's not very heavy rain at all. 73 out at Will Rogers right now, and still a south-southwest wind. We're going to see that for most of the state today. That's going to keep things hot this afternoon. It's already 81 in Lawton, but notice behind the front, much cooler. 60s are what we have there. Out in the Caribbean, we've got Ian. That became a tropical storm last night, 45-mile-per-hour storm. So notice right now, pretty weak, and overall doesn't have a ton of organization, but that will change. Looking out ahead of this thing, tropical storm watch in effect for Jamaica, hurricane watch already in effect for the Cayman Islands. So this is going to strengthen. It's over incredibly warm water. It's leaving wind shear, so it will have all the opportunity to become a much stronger hurricane by the time it eyes western Cuba, which is a pretty flat area of the country. And then even though it makes landfall in Cuba as a possibility, that's not going to deter it too much from re-strengthening over the Gulf. The Gulf is incredibly warm, so this is something to watch from anywhere in the Florida Panhandle all the way down to the Keys. This is 5 days out, so the exact pinpoint of where we're going to see landfall with this storm will vary, but the impacts spread much farther away from exactly where that landfall point is. The American model has kind of been on the western end of that cone that I just showed you, and with that west track, we're looking at potentially some coastal impacts along the Florida Peninsula, and mainly into the Panhandle and the Great Bend of Florida would be the bigger impacts, and overall more time over water also means better chance for it to organize stronger. And then on the eastern side of that track, or really much closer to the center of it, is where the European model has kind of been stacking up. This is a little bit more of a more concerning model and track potential because of where exactly it goes. This stretch of Florida and southwest Florida, incredibly prone to storm surge. Also, the right side of any storm is going to be the dirty side with the heaviest rain and even tornado potential. That'll extend all the way across the Florida Peninsula. So major impacts for the southern Florida Peninsula if that unfolds, but several days out, so we'll see how that shakes out. What is today days out is the cold front. It's already across the state. It's toasty this afternoon, cools things down for tomorrow, and then we're going to stay cooler than we have been through September as we go through the last week of September. A nice cold pool of air off to the east, but still dealing with that high pressure out to the west. There's Ian by the time we get to Wednesday out in the Gulf. We are looking dry. We're not going to get any of that moisture. It's going to go exactly toward this low pressure center in the eastern United States. That means the moisture of it gets pulled away, so we look dry. We also look much warmer than average, but not incredibly hot, so that's nice. It will be hot, though, this afternoon, looking for today. 92 Oklahoma City and Stillwater, mid-90s to the southwest, but you already notice a little bit cooler into the Panhandle, where we do have some 80s this afternoon. Isolated showers possible throughout the day for a large swath of Oklahoma. They're very hit or miss and certainly not plan ruining. If you're going to the game and you do get one of these showers, they'll last for a couple of minutes, but they're not going to completely drench you unless one of them gets a little bit heavier. So do have the umbrella or rain jacket handy, especially during the tailgating. And if you don't need it, stick it in the car, and that's fine. By the end of the game, into the mid-70s, and then overnight cooling off into the 60s, lower 60s to the northwest, and then 80s tomorrow with some low 80s northwest. So we'll still be pretty warm tomorrow in Oklahoma City, but certainly not exactly hot. And then cooling things down just a bit more. Look at that, 80 on Thursday. We're heading into October. A little bit warmer than average, but I'll take it over the 90s